While the world was first shocked at the news of Whitney Houston's death due to an overdose, some of the biggest names in the industry have been stepping out to say Whitney didn't die of an accidental overdose or suicide of some sort, but apparently Whitney's case might have been another Michael Jackson situation. Now, it's no secret that Ray J and Whitney were the tightest of friends before she died, but it turns out that their relationship was way deeper than that, cause Jaguar might have just outed Ray J for having a hand in Whitney's death. Word on the street is that he might even have something to do with how she got her hands on the drugs in the first place. Insane, right? Not to worry, we're here to spill all the drama and tea right from when it first started brewing, so make sure to click the bell icon and subscribe if you haven't already done so. That way you enjoy instant access to premium gist on your favorite and not so favorite celebrities. Speaking of celebrities, it's no secret that drugs almost always turned out to be the end of most celebrities, and we're just glad Justin Bieber and Jaden Smith got out of what seemed like a lifelong struggle with drugs. But Houston wasn't so lucky. Like many celebrities who came out of humble homes and built their success from ground up, Whitney had a lot of baggage she was dealing with. Clive Davis was like Whitney's Scooter Braun, who had scooped her out of the ashes, and even he had started to get scared when Whitney became seriously addicted to these drugs. During Whitney Houston's 35th anniversary of her self-titled debut album, Davis revealed that Houston only agreed to sign to him because of one specific clause which said that Whitney would only sign with us if she were given a key man clause that stated she would only work with me. If I were to leave the company for any reason, she could leave as well. We had never given that clause to any artist and never would again, but given my passion, the RCA board approved it and our lifetime musical adventure began. He carefully shaped her image and sound over the next 2 years, choosing each song, writer, and producer by hand. His careful work paid off. Davis always said he would never get involved in the artist's personal life, but he did when Whitney Houston was heavily addicted. Houston broke a lot of records when her first and second albums both debuted at #1 and had 7 straight #1 hits. She broke the Billboard chart record set by the Beatles. Afterwards, she sold out world tours, starred in hit movies like Waiting to Exhale, and started her own production business. She backed Disney's The Cheetah Girls and starred in and produced Cinderella. But her personal issues with drugs started to overshadow her achievements. Houston's drug use was out of hand by the middle of the 2000s. She stopped going to shows, and her behavior worried her close family, friends, and fans. People in the business started to write her off. Whitney tried for numerous years to quit drugs, but for some reason, she just couldn't stop. And while Clyde played the role of doting godfather for so many years, Jaguar Wright begs to differ. Jaguar claims that Whitney's death was more than an unfortunate accident. It was certainly more evil than that. According to her, Whitney wasn't just dying of natural causes, she was coerced into it. It seems something more evil occurred to Whitney rather than her so-called appearance of peacefulness in the bathtub, or at least that's what the press has been telling us. But how would a woman beat herself with her own hands or inflict such obvious bruises, then decide to overdose herself on drugs? Make it make sense.
Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beaten.
But why would anyone want to do this to a sweet angel like Whitney? According to her husband and the father of her only daughter, who unfortunately died in the same way her mother did, Whitney didn't die because of her issues with drugs. Instead, she died from depression and relying too heavily on drugs to fix it. For so many years, Bobby Brown was accused of turning a full-fledged legend who was greatly admired into a crack addict, but it turns out that this is actually far from the truth. While Michael Houston admitted to introducing Whitney to drugs on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Whitney had finally decided to quit and even concluded therapy 1 year before her death. So why did Whitney decide to start doing drugs again? Well, it turns out that there were many people who wanted to make a fortune off of Whitney and her impeccable career. But guess who they were? Jaguar straight up pointed fingers at none other than Ray J. This is the same Ray J we all know and adore from his days as a musician and reality TV star. He allegedly took part in certain dubious deals that were set up by Clive Davis and Diddy. The most shocking part is that Ray J wasn't merely a greedy accomplice. No, for a brief period of time, he was really close to Clive and Diddy. Ray J has even referred to Diddy as his role model. There are photos and videos of the two of them hanging out. However, the history must be remembered. There is a long history between Clive and Diddy. Rumor has it that Diddy owed Clive a significant amount of money. Word on the street is that they may have even traded some compromising favors. Yes, it's the type of rumor that challenges all your assumptions about the industry. But what makes Ray J special? They could have gotten someone else to convince her to get back into drugs. Just one pill would be all it took, but they reasoned that not just anyone would convince a grounded woman like Whitney to go back to her starting point, but since he was Whitney's trusted confidant at the time, he would be perfect for the job, particularly if it entailed money. After all, a large salary is sure to entice everyone, isn't it?
Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the drug dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the drug dealer in that gave her the shot. And Brandy was the one that found her. But you know, they pledge allegiance to Clive too. He needed her back, but he needed her back and under his control.
Girl, this goes beyond all shades of crazy. Clive Davis literally wanted Whitney's fortune to himself, but he sure as heck took his sweet time to prepare for it. Whitney was back in the news 5 years after her divorce from Bobby Brown, her ex-husband. This time because of rumors involving Ray J. Yes, that's correct. Although they never officially confirmed it, rumors began to circulate that they were an item. The age difference, however, was 17 years, which caused some to wonder. Whitney, who was 48 years old, and Ray J, who was 31 years old, went out on dates together. What was a young chap like himself doing with Whitney? At first, everyone thought it was because Whitney was quite the catch. Whitney Houston's marriage to Bobby Brown wasn't exactly a dream come true. According to Bobby's memoirs, the couple's relationship had its share of tension, disagreements, and the inevitable ups and downs of breaking up and getting back together. There were many twists and turns in their love affair, including drug use, marital strife, and rumors of infidelity. Now, for the surprising turn of events, Whitney was the one who went public first, having an affair with Tupac Shakur. Since Bobby and Tupac were close, there were rumors that Bobby would sign with Tupac's label. This news rocked Bobby to his very core. But when Tupac passed away in '96, Whitney was devastated, and Bobby had to see his wife deal with the pain of a former lover. Bobby finally snapped as their marriage devolved into an intricate web of separations and reconciliations. Was it worth it to deal with the continual drama? He had to ask himself. And he made the difficult decision to permanently sever ties, which he did with regret. This gave Ray J enough room for a grand entrance. Now, Bobby played the villain during Whitney's recovery stints, being side-eyed by people as the main culprit for her struggle with drugs. Some even claimed that he was the Clive Davis and Ray J in this story, desperate to get a pound of her fortune. But according to him, he left without asking for anything when he ran away from the marriage. Things are about to go downhill from here. Rumor had it that Ray J was more than just Whitney's friend. He might have contributed to her drug problems. Yes, what you heard was correct. He allegedly gave her more crack than she needed, which just made her fight her addiction harder. Even though Whitney has denied it in interviews, Ray J and those around her supposedly saw her fall from grace. Whitney gave rehabilitation a shot, but she slipped up. She was honest about her defiant nature and said she simply wanted to have fun. But she insisted she wasn't trying to hurt herself and wanted to keep living. Her battle with addiction was, unfortunately, unsuccessful. Supposedly planning everything from behind the scenes, Diddy and Clive Davis make an appearance. Whitney Houston's record label, Alista, was run by the legendary Clive Davis, who was like a music guru in that he transformed musicians into superstars. However, by the turn of the millennium, their once solid relationship had begun to crumble, and Whitney had begun to distance herself from Davis and his label. Now, when Clive Davis saw that things weren't working according to plan, he decided to take matters to his own hands by getting into an all-out argument with her to change her mind.
Her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobby Christina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, She's dead. Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the drug dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the drug dealer in that gave her the shot. And Brandy was the one that found her.
Bobby Brown wasn't the only one to attest to the fact that Whitney Houston didn't die from mere happenstance. Even his sister claimed that Whitney's corpse showed obvious signs that someone had beaten her.
Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beaten. They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up. Her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobby Christina was present for some of that fight.
Whitney Houston opened up about her struggles with addiction and her ups and downs with Bobby Brown in an amazing interview with Diane Sawyer in 2002. She even hinted that there might be some shady things going on behind the scenes with Davis and the music business. In the aftermath of Whitney's untimely death, Grammy-winning maestro Clive Davis reflects on their final moments together. He describes Whitney as being quite confident in showcasing her success in kicking nicotine to the curb. When asked about delaying a recording session, Davis said he was so sure Whitney would be just fine and would jump back on her feet. What do you think? Are Ray J, Clive, and Diddy the reason behind Whitney's demise? And do you think the documentary on Whitney's life and career is a positive nod to her essence as a person? Or is it just a scheme made up by some desperate people who are eager to make profits from it? Let's know your thoughts in the comment section down below.